Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about Thursday Night Football. And boy, oh boy, do we have a humdinger. The Los Angeles Chargers head to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in Arrowhead, one of the toughest places to play, especially now with Mahomes and crew just running roughshod through the NFL. Before we get into all that and point spreads and my favorite plays and my notes and everything that I have highlighted, let me just say a few things. Get to Team Riser Fall right now, and when you get there, use promo code Beastie. You'll get $10 off your first month of premium services, because if you've noticed, all the great promos have gone away. That was leading up to week one, and I'm sure the guys and girls over there will work their magic, and there'll be some more promo codes. But for right now, this one, Chargers and Kansas City, this is on the first game of week two, so we have a long way to go. So as long as you're here, happy with Team Riser Fall, part of the family, what more can you ask for? So let's talk about this football game, right? The Chargers at Kansas City. Last week, Kansas City absolutely laid waste to Arizona in their secondary. They carved them up. They made Kyler Murray look awful. Actually, absolutely, Arizona in general looked bad news. I mean, I sent out a tweet like, is Kansas City really this good? Or is Arizona really that bad? Or is it a difference of the two? But again, that was last week. This is now. When we look back a week, I believe the Chargers, I hate to say it, but I believe the Chargers lost. But again, Herbert threw 26 of 34 passes for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he had a sparkling 129.4 QBR. To be honest with you, I didn't even see it. Tight end Gerald Everett caught 3 passes for 54 yards and a score, but I believe the Vegas Golden Knights got over on him just briefly, which I think is only going to just upset Herbert more. And you don't want to upset this kid, although he looks cool, calm, and collected. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Justin Herbert, shall we? The Chargers are at Kansas City. Right now, Kansas City, 26th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Herbs, 15.5 on FanDuel, 11.2 on DK, and $44 on Yahoo. I'm just going to grab my notes here so I have them handy, because I hate looking over to the side like that, because I like to have the connection with you and I here. So when you look at Herbs tonight, when you're watching the video, whatever it is, 25 completions, I think 300 yards is going to become a normal stat line for Justin Herbert. 3 touchdowns, a couple carries for another 20 yards here. So right off the bat, you're like, well, why even go on with the video? I'm going to just stack Justin Herbert and his cast of characters and move on. But let me tell you, we'll skip ahead briefly. Keenan Allen is not playing. He is out. He hurt his hamstring. We wish Keenan Allen the best here, but let's not just end the video here after 2 minutes. I have a few more things I'd like to say, because Patrick Mahomes, what a stud he is. He threw a bunch of touchdown passes, and he is without doubt, in my mind, the best quarterback in the league. And I know you Herbert people, I'm one of them, and even Josh Allen people will go, hey, they're going to show up to my door with a pair of scissors and go, what are you doing? It's not Patrick Mahomes. But hey, here we are. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City at the Chargers, who are 17th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Does DVP even matter when it's Patrick Mahomes? I don't think so. Why waste my time? But Mahomes, $17,000 on FanDuel. Holy smokes, buy a car for that. I'm going to use that joke as long as I can. As long as I can get away with it, I'm going to use it. On DraftKings, Mahomes, 11.8, and on Yahoo, he's $38. I have Mahomes and Herbert almost identical stat lines. I had Herbs at 25 completions. I had Mahomes at 27 completions, so, and about 310 yards, 3 touchdown passes. And the only real difference is I have Mahomes around 4 carries for 20 yards. I have Herbs at 3 carries for 20 yards. So Herbs is going to get to 20 yards and 1 less carry. I digress. Let's talk about the running backs here. And when we look at the running backs, it's I wrote down, let me just count them out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wrote down 8 running backs, but realistically, there's only 2 or 3 that we can use. Like Ronald Jones here, I wrote him really tiny in blue. He was inactive in street clothes, a healthy scratch. He's not going to be a factor, but I'll tell you who is. It's Austin Eckler. Kansas City, 20th overall against opposing running backs here, and this guy does it all. He kind of laid low a little bit in week 1, but hey, you know what I mean? We saw a lot of like play-by-play guys, announcers going, a lot of these teams started slow, a little sloppy because preseason isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? You get like three or four preseason games, you're going to get literally 3 snaps or 3 series from your starter. So it takes a game or two to get in rhythm, and Eckler will find it here. Eckler 14.5 on FanDuel, 10.2 on DK, and $29 on Yahoo. I have Eckler 12, 13 carries, 55, 60 yards, 5 receptions, 45 yards. So you're looking at about 100 all-purpose yards for Eckler here, and I think he finds the end zone on the ground. So again, if Herbs is going to throw 3 touchdowns, but one of them is not to Eckler, we're looking at 4 touchdowns already if you're paying attention at home for the Chargers. Josh Kelly, not much to be said. Sony Michel is in the mix, right? Sony 6.5 on FanDuel, 4.5 on DK, Yahoo, the bare minimum at $10. When you look at Kelly and Sony, I have Kelly at about 4 carries. I have Sony at about 7 carries. So of the two, I would prefer Sony Michel. We could see a case here. Austin Eckler is the guy. He is their RB1. He does it all. But we could see a series or two. And again, don't call me stupid for this because I know you're going to agree when I say it here. Sony Michel, they might give him an entire series to himself and he's just going to pound the ball. And in one series, he might rack up 25 or 30 yards. And if that's the case, maybe later on in the game, Sony gets another series to himself here. So don't write off Sony Michel just because he switched teams and just because it's Sony Michel. I've always liked the guy. Isaiah Spiller, their rookie, was a healthy scratch and active. And so I don't have any stats for him either. I think he's again on the sideline. So it's all up to Coach Staley. What's he doing? I don't know. I would have Isaiah Spiller active over a guy like Josh Kelly. That's just me. But hey, here I am recording a broadcast in a basement. I'm not a head coach. When we look at the Kansas City side of things, it's pretty clear, pretty cut and dry. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When you look at the Chargers, 18th overall against opposing running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, $12,000 on FanDuel, 8.6 on DK. $19 on Yahoo. 10 carries, 50 yards, 3-4 receptions, another 20 yards, and I think he finds the end zone. The only difference here is I don't know if it will be on the ground or in the air, but I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire, aka CEH, he's not written off. This guy is going to be a steady part of the offense here, and I know you might say, well, Chris, you're contradictive. You said the running back position in Kansas City is not that important. I still say that, but you still need a guy to line up in the backfield, and I'm going to flick my paper. It's got to be CEH. Jerick McKinnon should be on the map. Isaiah Pacheco should be on the map here. But of the two, we're going to put Clyde Edwards-Helaire, on a pedestal here. And between Jerick McKinnon and Isaac Pacheco, I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon, 4 or 5 carries, 20 yards, and a couple receptions for 20 yards. So you're looking at a case here where McKinnon for 6.5 on FanDuel or only 2.6 on DK, we could get 40, 45 all-purpose yards from him. I like to see that. When we move to the wide receivers, this is where it gets a little bit sketchy, but that's what I like in a DFS video, right? Sketchy is my business when it comes to DFS here. As I said at the beginning, at the open here, Keenan Allen, we wish him the best. He hurt his hamstring, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here. So it's going to be the Mike Williams show, and Kansas City knows that. Everybody watching this game knows that. So for that fact, I'm not saying fade Mike Williams here, but we have to know these things going into the Mike Williams, 12.5 on FanDuel, $9,000 on DK, $21 on Yahoo. I have Mike Williams, 7-8 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, 70, maybe 75 yards, and I do have him catching a touchdown. You catch it, and then it's a touchdown here. So as we move on, Joshua Palmer, DeAndre Carter, both in play. I have Palmer, again, 7 targets, because I think Herbs is going to throw the ball all over the place. So when we get to the defense, I'm going to tell you right now, we're not even going to talk defenses here in this one because of the high final score that I have. I have Palmer, $7,000 on FanDuel, $5K on DK, 13 on Yahoo, 7 targets, 4 receptions, around 50 yards. That's a nice little stat line for only $5K on DK. The value, if I had the hub up right now, I would imagine, the production on the field and the price tag, I think that would give us a B value on the hub and for the DK tab. One guy I want to mention here, Got to be Jalen Guyton. This kid has worked his ass off all off season to become the Chargers' third wide receiver. Maybe now with the injury to Mike Williams, or excuse me, to Keenan Allen, he'll bump up a little bit. But we got to deal with DeAndre Carter, and we know Jalen Guyton is a fast dude. He's on the field for a handful of snaps, but when he's on the field, he could go for a 75-yard touchdown reception at any given time. That's the reason I have him highlighted here. You know, I'm friends with his mother. We've connected on social media. She's a great woman. Shout out to Brandy. And that has nothing to do with my love for Jalen Guyton. We're talking 2-3 seasons now. I've been on Jalen Guyton as a sleeper, and we go from there. Today, on Thursday, he's only $6,000 on FanDuel, $1,200 on DK. That is a no-brainer. Just shoot that dart with Guyton for $1,200 on DK. The bare minimum on Yahoo at $10. Realistically, the realistic side of me, I have Guyton at 3 targets, 2-3 receptions, 35 or 40 yards. But I will tell you this, I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, but I just want folks to know there could be a case here where Guyton scores a long touchdown, 60, 70, 75-yard touchdown. He gets over and above this Kansas City secondary, which on paper is 14th, but that's only based on what? One game now? We've had one game to line up DVP and stuff like this. Guyton's too quick. Herbs and him have a connection. We've seen all the camp videos here. Guyton shows up, works hard, good old Texas boy, and Guyton will be a factor in this game. And on FanDuel, $6K, and on DK, $1,200. What are we doing here? Guyton's highlighted. Get him in your lineup. Just like the next two guys, Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Chargers 21st overall against opposing wide receivers. I believe Juju has some sort of coming out party on Thursday night here. When you look at Juju, $11,000 on FanDuel, $8K on DK, only $16 on Yahoo. I'm looking at Juju 8 or 9 targets. I'm not kidding. 5-6 receptions, 60 to 70 yards, and Juju will score a touchdown here. So get Juju in your lineups. And when I show you my notes, every guy I have highlighted here fits on the FanDuel lineup like a glove here. So let's move this faster along. We're already almost 11 minutes into this thing. MVS, he could be a unbelievably awesome weapon for Kansas City when they get rolling and they find out packages that work for him. As we saw Kansas City last week against Arizona, they had him completely confused with all these tight ends that were rolling around. I think Thursday, Andy Reid will implement a game plan where it's wide receiver heavy. You know, Juju, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, even McCole Hardman will be on the field. Not at all at the same time here, but they're going to be throwing out 3-4 wide receiver sets here to confuse the Chargers. So as we move down the list, we'll talk about tight ends briefly. I got a little spiel about kickers because right now, Kansas City's in a bad way for a kicker, and I know it might seem shocking. I think that the fact that they don't have a kicker, that what's his name is not being able to kick today. It's Matt Amendola is their kicker. I think that's going to be the difference in the game. Call me crazy, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about tight ends briefly. Realistically, it's Gerald Everett, it's Travis Kelce. Of the two, who are we going to pick? You'd be a stupid ass if you picked up, Everett over Kelce here, but hey, that's just me. Sorry for the ass word. Gerald Everett, get this, Kansas City, 20th overall against opposing tight ends. He scored last week. I could see a case here where Herbs, thinks of Everett as some sort of safety blanket in the red zone, but so is Eckler. You know what I mean? So you never know what you're going to get. Everett, 9.5 on FanDuel, 4.8 on DK, $11 on Yahoo. I'm looking at Everett, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 35 yards. When we go down, Kelce, $14,000 on FanDuel. You know he's going to cost a ton of money. On DK, he's $11, and on Yahoo, $34. But the price is worth the admission with Kelce. 8 targets, 6-7 receptions, 75 yards. He's going to have guys on his back, and of course, he's going to find the end zone. So again, $14K on FanDuel, $11,000 on DraftKings. That's up to you. Would you make that move? Would you fade him? That's all up to you. Fading Kelce on a primetime game Probably not the smartest move, but as we move on, kickers briefly. Dustin Hopkins is healthy, $9,000 on FanDuel, 3.8 on DK, and then at the last second, right before I recorded this video, I noticed that there was no kicker available for Kansas City. Was it going to be Justin Reed, their safety? He did very well last week, but again, they brought in a guy, Matt Amendola. Don't know if he's related to Danny, but here we go. I could find a price tag. He's 9.5 on FanDuel. No clue. No way am I going to use a Kansas City kicker in this one. As I said, final score in this one, the Chargers will win this one. I got this beautiful Chargers hat. Chargers will win this one 31-27 on the strength of Herbs. Superstar. He's already there. I was going to say fast track to superstardom, but Justin Herbert is all the rage right now. And again, as at the moment you start this video to the moment you end this video, we're going to see promo after promo about Herbert and Kelsey and Mahomes. And again, I don't work for Amazon Prime, but this game is strictly on Amazon Prime, which I don't know how I feel about. So go out there and get a Prime stick before this game kicks off, or you're going to miss it. Or you can watch this video over and over again. That's up to you. Few betting trends, and we'll get the heck out of here. I already gave you the final score, so you're probably already tuned out here. Chargers 36, 16, and 14 against the spread the last 56 games as the underdog. The over is 8-1, Kansas City's last 9 games overall. The road team, which is the Chargers here, 16-5-1 against the spread the last 22 games. So as I said, Chargers win this one 31-27 in what will be an outstanding game. I beg of you to watch. I beg you to watch this video, and I also beg you to go to Team Riser Fall. Use promo code Beastie. We'll get after it. You'll get $10 off your first month of premium services. And before I split, you might say, Chris, video's 15 minutes. You were all over the map. You're absolutely amped up because this game has me going. It's got all the, I'm ready to rock for this game. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you get some bets, and I will be sure to post my notes, and we'll go from there. So until I see you again, more than likely, Sunday Night Football or the Sunday morning video with Mitch and everybody here at Team Riser Fall starts at 9:30 a.m. Be there or be square. Until I see you again, be good, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.